Hey, hey, what's crack-a-lackin' kitty cats? I don't know why I keep saying kitty cats. Anyways, I hope everyone is doing well. Auntie Kookoo has got another murder story for you. But before I get started, please don't forget to like, share, and of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Storytime Auntie Kookoo, Kookoo. Real quick, the story I'm going to tell you guys is about two teens that would rather murder her own grandmother than be separated from the bad boy. But before I get started, I want to update you real quick, in case you're seeing my boo-boos here and here. I've got them on my knees as well. And in case I'm looking a little thicker than usual, I did fracture a couple of ribs. So I've got all ace bandaged up and stuff. So if I got some oohs and ahs randomly, you know why. Let's do the story time, right? Get into it already, Coco. So this story takes place in New York in 1993. Our key players are, are Wendy Gardner and James Evans. Wendy is 12 years old when she meets James Evans, but let me give you a little background on Wendy real quick. So she lives with her grandma, Betty Gardner, who is 67 years old, and her little sister, Kathy Gardner, who is 10 years old. Now, grandma got custody of these two little girls from her daughter, who was, a drug abuser, along with the children's father, whatnot. When these girls were toddlers, grandma got custody of them and is raising them. Grandma is the type, like I said, she's 67 years old. Her name's Betty Gardner, and she, is very structured, very strict, lots of discipline. Goes by like the saying, spare the rod, spoil the child, or whatever it is. She's very strict. But it appears that that type of parenting has worked because the girls are doing well. When Kathy is only 10 years old and Wendy is 12 years old, both girls are doing wonderful academically. They're both excelling in music. Kathy is one of those kids that others are watching and like, it's exciting to see where she's gonna go. She's gonna do good things. Like they were excited to see her go from elementary school to middle school and then going on to high school. Like people thought she was gonna do great things. Well, she did some things, but not so great. Anywho, so back to the story, cuckoo. But, needless to say, it looks like things are going well. The girls are doing good. Grandma's raising them. And that is until, I almost said Kathy, I'm sorry, Wendy meets 15-year-old James Evans. Now, I keep wanting to say Kathy. Kathy's little sister. Focus. Wendy is 12 years old and she meets James Evans, who's 15 years old. He is the typical bad boy, Mr. Swagalicious, Mr. Bow chicka wow wow, that type of dude. The type of dude that every mother and father wants to keep their 12, 13-year-old little girl away from, right? Let's be honest. But at the same time, if you've had a very strict upbringing and, been very sheltered and had a lot of rules, sometimes that's what us girls are, do. They flock to that bad boy. Well, what do you think happened? Little James Evans showed little Wendy a little bit of attention, and Wendy was like, "What up, James? Bow chicka wow wow." And that's for Rizzle. So they start hanging out, and Grandma obviously is like, "Hold up, hey, I ain't down with this." And Wendy's like, "I don't care." And Grandma's like, "Yes, you're going to. You can't do this." And Wendy fights hard back. She begins to go out all night, do what she wants when she wants, come and go as she please, runs away, the whole shebang. Grandma's like, "You're going to end up just like your mother." That's not a good thing to say, Grandmama. But it says things, "You're going to be a crackhead and a slut just like your mom." Those type of comments. Which is not the right thing to say to a rebellious teen. But needless to say, that pushes Wendy even more into the bad boy lifestyle, and she jumps full head force in. She begins dressing and acting like an 18, 20-year-old young lady, or skizanky, let's be honest, when she's 12, 13 years old. So, like I said, Grandma's doing everything she can to separate them, and Wendy's doing everything she can to not be separated from James. So Betty finally has tried everything she can. She doesn't know what else to do. She pretty much is giving up. She calls in the family courts. Many of you guys know I work with the family courts. You know, I work with a lot of abused and neglected children and things like that. It's not a perfect system. I don't want to talk bad about it, obviously, because that's what I do. But like, you don't just give your kids over hoping that the state's going to fix them, because it doesn't work that way. It's not a perfect system, and it's not a good system for a teenage girl that's struggling. Anyways, so grandma calls in family courts, and needless to say, family courts are going to remove her from the home. What do you think, Wendy? Wendy's freaking out. Not because she's going to lose grandma and her little sister, the only family and structure she's ever known. No. Wendy's freaking out because she's going to lose James. Family court's going to take her away, put her in foster care, put her somewhere else, and she's not going to be with James. So she starts to wig out. So it's, people start talking, kids. I mean, remember being a teenage girl? Again, sorry about the busted face. Like I said, I had some boo-boos happen. But remember being like a teenage girl and stuff, and your first love, and thought he was, big and bad and going to be the one. You would do anything to be with him, I mean, I snuck out. I did bad stuff. We're all teens, you lied. You went to your girlfriend's and then snuck over to a party. We all did that type of things, right? Maybe not, but I did. I was a regular teenage girl, I went on a date when I wasn't supposed to go on a date, I went to a party when I wasn't supposed to be at a party. So, I mean, Wendy's freaking out. She goes the whole shebang. Needless to say, she is, terrified they're going to get separated. It's around Christmas time in 1994, and Wendy runs away. Like I said, grandma's already called DCF, family courts. They're coming and take her away anyways. So she runs away. Wendy, of course, does not run far. Where do you think she runs to? Her boyfriend James's, her boyfriend James's family's home. So that's where she is. On Christmas Day, Wendy decides to call her grandmother kind of as a Christmas present. And, say, hey, here's where I am and I'm safe. I think also in her manipulative, narcissistic brain was thinking, it's like an olive branch. Maybe grandma's going to, withdraw this complaint to family courts and I can smooth this over and manipulate her. I believe probably that was going on in her little manipulative brain. I could imagine it. So, anyways, needless to say, grandma's not happy. Like, what do you mean you're at James's house? And Wendy's all like, well, can't I stay? And grandma's like, no, you can't friggin' stay. Get home now. Well, Wendy gets mad and hangs up, and she is pissed. She is so angry. Sorry about holding. Like I said, my ribs are killing me. And it's hard as I express myself, but it's how I storytell. Anyway, so Wendy's pissed. Needless to say, her and James, for the next 3 days, nonstop talk about getting rid of grandma. The plan of how to get rid of her, and how if they don't get rid of her, she's going to separate them and they'll never be able to be together and never be able to be happy and la-di-da-di-da-di-da. So it even gets to a point where Wendy begins egging on James, saying things like, oh, you wouldn't do it. You couldn't kill her anyways. You're not a real man. Oh, please, you would really do it. Literally egging him on and kind of that double daring him. You're not a real man. Oh, you're such a bad boy. That whole shebang. Yeah, little 13-year-old Wendy at this point. Yeah, 13 now. Yeah, that's what she's saying. Needless to say, full action. Move forward. Let's do this, right? December 28th, 1994. I believe it is. Yes, that they sneak into grandma's house. Grandma and little Kathy, her 10-year-old, probably 11-year-old sister now, are sitting on the couch watching TV. And Wendy and James come in the home. They take the remote from grandma, turn off the TV, and James literally begins strangling, 67, 68-year-old Betty. 10-year-old little sister sitting there. Wendy grabs her little sister Kathy and begins to drag her upstairs into another room while James continues to murder their grandmother. Well, what Wendy does to help Kathy through the process is she sings Jingle Bells so loud over and over again, thinking it's going to drown out the screams of their grandmother being murdered by her boyfriend. Imagine this little girl, Kathy, for the rest of her life, she was 10, 11 years old when this happened. The rest of her life, when she hears Jingle Bells, imagine what this little girl pictures now. Are you frigging kidding me? So she's, screaming Jingle Bells over and over again, trying to drown out the screams of their grandmother being murdered by her boyfriend. Now, of course, these are teenagers. They don't realize that it's not like the movies. You don't just strangle someone for a second and they're dead. It's not the way it works. It takes a lot of pressure and a lot of force to actually kill somebody. So James ends up having to grab a kite string, wrap it around Grandma's neck, and then put his foot to the back of her neck and pull her to finish the job, shall we say. To the point until like blood starts pouring out of her orifices. Ooh, so they end up murdering Grandma. So now they have obviously complete control over Wendy's little sister, Kathy. She's alive and just watch them murder their grandmother. So they keep her very close by. And what they decide to do is take Grandma and stuff her in the trunk. That's right, I said it. They put her in the trunk of her own vehicle, and then they go out and celebrate. One, don't let me forget to mention this too, that they have sex at the crime scene where they murdered Grandma. Then they go out shopping, going out to eat, meet up with friends, partying, doing this and that, the whole time keeping Kathy right by their side, taunting and threatening her, saying things like, if you say anything to anyone, we'll murder you. You know what we're capable of. Don't you dare think of running or saying anything. At one point, I think they even said, like, how does it feel to be with two murderers? Like, they were in their glory. They were proud of what they did. Imagine what this little girl or sister is thinking, like, how terrifying. So, like I said, they go out and they spend Grandma's money. This goes on. It is December. No, I'm sorry. That's not true. It is New Year's Eve, 1994. Early in the morning. They're asleep in the home, and little sister Kathy wakes up. She looks over and she sees that James and her older sister Wendy are still asleep. And she's like, this is my opportunity. She seizes it and she books it. She books it to the neighbors. She runs as fast as she can. She bangs on that door and she tells the neighbors what's going on. Neighbors are like, what? So they call the police. Needless to say, cops come and arrest James and Wendy. What do you think happens? Wendy sings like a bird. Oh, it was all James. He made me do it. It was all him. Lottie-dottie-dottie. Well, the courts don't fall for it. Needless to say, and let me look to make sure I get it correct, they both get charged with second-degree murder, as they should be. Apparently it was in juvenile courts. So James, in July 1997, was sentenced to a minimum of 9 years to life and was eligible for parole in 2013. Whereas Wendy, she, same thing, charged with second-degree murder, and was sentenced to 7 years and 10 months to life. And she was released in 2004 at 23 years old. I think she lives in like Ulster County or something like that. But like no other information is given on her because she was a juvenile at the time. How crazy is that? Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Another wild and crazy murder story. I'm sweating and I'm oohing and on because of the pain. So bear with me. Thank you for sticking through this video. I know I normally am much more animated in my stories, but my ribs are killing me. So thank you so much. I also want to real quick say thank you to everyone who has been watching and who has been subscribing. In the last week or two, I've gotten 8 or 10 new subscribers, and I appreciate you. I see you, and I appreciate you. I'm so close to my first 100, and they say getting your first 100 on YouTube is the hardest. So please don't forget to subscribe and click that bell for new video notifications. Stay safe, stay kind, do good things, and I'll check you on the flip side, skillets. Deuces.